Poilievre blows Carney out of the water. But for some reason, all of the major news companies in Canada are preaching Mark Carney. Hail and welcome to your typical conservative news happening, where, look, I'm back after my 3-day hiatus, where I spent my time thinking in my brain, looking at things happening within elections in Canada, and I've been capitulating, I don't think I'm using that word correctly here, thoughts in my head about how things will go, and how things will be happening, and I'm just gonna come out and say to you guys, the title was a little bit of clickbait, because I don't truly know if she will crush Mark Carney in the election. However, that small bit of clickbait is there so that hopefully a higher portion of you Canadians, you watching this, a higher portion of you will watch this video, because this is a very important topic that I will get into towards the end of the video after I cross my T's and dot my I's, going through the line of thinking and what is all happening in Canada, and I will dive into what I am thinking about the election and why I think it is wise for conservatives, yes, I am saying that, wise for conservatives. Now, don't get your pitchforks ready to go against me here. I think it is wise for us to be on the side of Ruby Dhalla in the upcoming Liberal election. And I have a lot of thoughts that surround this, and I think it will be pertinent that you listen to it and go down in the comments and tell me what you were thinking. Now, without further ado, it's been too long of me talking to myself, let us dive into what is happening today. So, first and foremost, obviously we are talking about Mark Carney, and how he's not good. You guys know this, I know this, we all know this. I'm gonna point out one thing, and I'm bringing up this post from Pierre Poilievre for a particular reason. We know that if an election happens that is between NDP, Liberal, and yada yada, Conservative, all the so on and so forth, rather than just being a Liberal election, but a complete election, if that were to happen, we all know that Pierre would be winning the votes of Canadians. We all know that. But why is Mark Carney of someone to take note of here? Well, I'll dive into that, I promise. Look, I'm sorry, I know I'm getting into little doodads, but I have to get into them so that I'm covering things on news, okay? I'm not just covering one thing, which, yes, this video is particular on one thing, but there's also a couple things other than this going on. For starters, I made a video a while ago, me talking about Pam Bondi and how she was not actually going to be a problem for the Republicans down in America, and go figure, her being there, she's done a lot of good being in Trump's repertoire. So, I called it. She's good. She's overall good. Even though she is, I don't know if she's still against 2A, or if that's just in the past, but she seems to be doing good now, so I kind of called it. Now on to the next little thing. I love how Canadians are the people of kindness, or sorry, apologies, niceness, being sorry, and inclusivity. And then, go figure, just a lot of classless behavior from Canadians at a hockey game, nonetheless. A lot of classless behavior in that we are now stooping down below ourselves to boo at people who have little to do with the tariffs. Have little to do with the tariffs. And we have decided to come out to the hockey game and boo these people. Boo the anthem of the American anthem. Like, really? Really? That's where we're at as Canadians? We're booing anthems? Like, really? Really? That is very classless. Like, if we're so against them, why are we even playing with them? Why? That makes no sense to me. If we're so against them, why are we even competing against them? We might as well just draw a line in the sand and say, no. But no, we're both playing with them, but at the same time booing them because their leader did something that a lot of Canadians don't like. Like, classless behavior. And good old Pierre is, he's doing his own thing, talking in wherever this location is. I don't know, it's a lot of snow, so I'm assuming he's somewhere in the north, but I mean, that's everywhere currently, so I don't know where he is, but he's doing good things, supposedly. I didn't watch this whole entire thing, I just know it just recently more or less happened, but he's talking about take back control of our north, and I like that messaging. Now, to get into today's topic, I know you guys have been waiting, and I'm sorry, but to get into today's topic of why Mark Carney is a pivotal standpoint in this. It is very blatantly obvious that Mark Carney has been chosen already. He's not being elected, he is being chosen to lead. And the reason why I say that is because he has confidential information that no other political candidate has. If they're willing to choose the Liberal leader, not have an actual election, as I suspect that they will be doing, what does that mean for the actual election in Canada between Poilievre, I'm assuming Mark Carney, and NDP? What does this spell for Canada? And because here's the thing, I know, everybody here knows that Pierre Poilievre is gonna win the election. There is no doubt about that. Which, oddly enough, it just so happens to be, here. So, look at this right here. This is a news source in Canada. They're saying Canadians pick Mark Carney over Pierre Poilievre, Chrystia Freeland, and Karina Gold to negotiate with Donald Trump. Nano survey. And, oddly enough, someone else did their own, little survey, and they said, let's find out, who do you choose? Carney, Poilievre, Freeland, and then, see results for people who just don't want to see it. Just so happens to be that in this personal survey, man, can my hat stay on? It just so happens to be in this personal survey that Poilievre blows Carney out of the water. But for some reason, all of the major news companies in Canada are preaching Mark Carney. Mark Carney is getting praise by the legacy media in Canada. That he is also getting confidential information that no other candidate is getting. Clearly, there are under-the-table dealings going on with all of this. You know it, I know it, this is blatantly obvious. You know, and I know, that Pierre Poilievre is the most popular candidate to win, bar none, because the Liberals have been a sinking ship this entire time. You know it, I know it, but at the same time, why are they propping him up even though he is clearly unwanted? They are propping him for a reason. Now, will I speak on that reason? Not really, because I don't really know what that reason is. To be completely frank, I don't really know that reason. I have my suspicions, but I'm not gonna speak on it because, not gonna speak on it. Got my tinfoil on here. Man, that was loud. But let's take a quick second to just watch a quick video of someone who brings the light to this as well, just on a different front. Time to take the thinking cap off, so I can actually listen to this with y'all.
My man, Pierre Poilievre, owns rental properties in the midst of a housing crisis. What is going on? Wow, it's crazy how the mainstream media just spins it, but you won't see this in the headlines now, will ya? Mark Carney refuses to disclose his finances. I wonder why. Maybe because, there's some world...
And that's a different topic I won't talk about here. I know. Now, he is pointing out what I know, what you know, what we all know, in that legacy media is clearly pointed towards the liberal side. But they also happen to be propping up Mark Carney. Why are they propping him up? There have been many potential candidates who have stepped up to be the potential leader for the Liberal Party. Why haven't they spoken about them? They don't speak about Ruby Dhalla. They don't speak about that Candace dude, the dude who dropped out after 2 days or something. They didn't talk about either of them. Ruby Dhalla is more or less just popping up on the side of being newsworthy, but she's been kind of in the background for a minute already. Why are they only now talking about these people as if they didn't matter before? Well, because the clear answer is that they don't matter before, and they don't matter now, because we all know that somebody is being propped up for the election here. Which is where I am throwing in the towel as a conservative today. I'm sorry. I am still voting Pierre Poilievre. Want to make that very clear. Still voting for the dude. I want him to make change because I believe he will make change in Canada. But I have to throw in my hat today, because we need an election that is, what is the quote? Too big to rig? Because we don't need Mark Carney. We don't need him. 150,000% we don't need him. We don't want him. He's not good. He will drive us further into the hole. He will for sure make sure that April the taxes continue to go up. He will, because, he doesn't exactly have a good track record of keeping the economy stable in any sort of sense of form. Which is where I am once again throwing in the towel. Throwing in the towel as a conservative today. I am taking this metaphorical towel I have, throwing it over here and saying, I'm now gonna speak on the Liberal Party as well. I'm gonna speak for both sides, because if I'm not speaking on both sides, then can I really say I'm for Canadians here? If I'm not trying to get in the best Liberal leader to be try not to persuade people to vote in the best Liberal leader, then how am I benefiting Canadians at all if I'm not even gonna talk about this? I'm throwing in the towel as being a conservative. I still believe in Pierre Poilievre, but I am, for the time being, perhaps even a whole month, not going to be talking about him all that much. Obviously, if things happen and there's, controversy, I'm going to talk about him because, the good old YouTube views. But I need to talk about Ruby Dhalla, and I need to try and have a voice for her on the interwebs other than herself or other people talking about her. We need, as a community of people, to prop up her. And the reason why I say this is because legacy media is obviously propping up Mark Carney for a reason. Obviously. And obviously, they're not propping up someone like Ruby Dhalla for a reason. Obviously. We need to do what the legacy media in Canada will not do because they don't want to do it. We need to prop up an opposition because we cannot let them. It has to be too big to rig. That is the point. It has to be too big to rig. And on a different front, let us say that Ruby Dhalla will become the Prime Minister for the time being. I think that provides much more, with what Dhalla has been saying, I think that provides much more political interest in doing good. Let me explain. Currently, as I stated, it is blatantly obvious that Pierre Poilievre is the clear victor. It is blatantly obvious because nobody wants the Liberal Party with every shenanigan they have done. If Ruby Dhalla does what she said she will, that would actually provide an opposition to Pierre Poilievre. And I think that that kind of opposition is good, because right now, what we have is Mike Tyson punching babies. That's what we have in Canada. Mike Tyson just clobbering those mushy skulls right now. That's what we have. Because it is not difficult to beat Mark Carney, not difficult to beat Trudeau, not difficult to beat Chrystia Freeland. They are all wackos. We know this. We all know this. It is not difficult to beat them in a political election. They are babies that Mike Tyson is actively just... Hot damn. Punching. We know this. We need an actual opposition that can provide a stable support for actual growth. Because if Pierre doesn't back up what he says he will do, then Ruby Dhalla can. Because if Ruby Dhalla does what she says she's going to do, that would mean that Pierre Poilievre is actually going to have a contestant to go against. We need this kind of opposition, because if we don't, then we are going from the far left to the potential far right. Neither of those are good in terms of balance. Something that this country ever so dearly needs right now. Balance. We need balance. We need Canadians to come back together. I have never seen this country so divided in the past 20 years. I haven't even been alive for 20 years, but hot dang, I will say 20 years, because the last 10 days have shown me just how divided we are as a country. We are now booing national anthems. How classless have we become? We used to be the country of kindness or niceness. We used to be that country, but nowadays we're the country of punching bags and flour. That is how interesting we are. We are flour. We need balance. And I believe Ruby Dhalla could be that form of balance. Because clearly, Mark Carney will not be that form of balance. He, in fact, potentially might go even further than Trudeau. In fact, I would almost believe that he was always the shadow campaign behind Trudeau, but that's a conspiracy, not going to talk about it. I think Ruby Dhalla might actually provide an opposition of value to this election. I think that is good for the Canadian election, that we have actual opposition, because if there is no opposition, then we are going from one extreme to a potential other extreme. I don't think either are good. We need Ruby Dhalla to win this election. We need her to win this Liberal election. We need it. We desperately need it. So that, more so than just that Mark Carney doesn't win, because if he does win, then we're gonna deal with Mark Carney until potentially the non-confidence is voted, in which I don't believe Jagmeet Singh would even do. We need to get Mark Carney out. Point blank, period. He cannot be here. He will spell disaster for all of Canada. We need him out. Now, there have been a lot of people speaking about how there's a lot of controversy behind Ruby Dhalla. That is potentially true. I still need to look into it. I will do that tomorrow, I think. Maybe. I have a different idea for tomorrow, but I might shift things. Don't know. But there's a lot of people who have been pointing out controversy. And from what I've seen, the controversy is certainly a lot lighter than the controversy behind Mark Carney. And if legacy media is propping up Mark Carney, someone who is obviously worse than Ruby Dhalla, that only spells disaster. If Mark Carney is getting confidential information that no other candidate is getting, that is bad for Canada. Bad for Canadians. It is not good that they are propping up someone who is quite obviously worse. I am throwing in the towel as a conservative for the time being. And I will spend the next month or so talking about Ruby Dhalla. Diving into her, talking about her, and try to have a voice and make this election too big to rig. Because if they're willing to rig this election, who is to say they're not willing to do it with the other one as well? It's very obvious that legacy media has quite a bias. That is not difficult to see. We need to separate from legacy media, as they have done nothing but cause division in Canada. And I am hoping that I will be a voice in a potential better Canada. I think I would be a bad political speech advocate of Canada. I don't know if I'd call myself a pundit, but I don't know if the other term is better. I would be a bad political pundit in Canada if I didn't talk about the Liberal election and who I think would be best for that. Best for Canadians in terms of who is going to be PM. She is you know what? Do I want to leave this for the next video? Yes, but also no. You know what? I will leave this for the next video in terms of talking about her. And I will leave this off today. I will leave this off today in saying, I will mark my words, Ruby Dhalla will win this election. Or at least I will put in as much effort as I can possibly put into having her platform uplifted. I will do my best to speak out because we need Mark Carney out. He is clearly being propped up by people who know he is worse but still want him in. That spells disaster. We need him out. It is certainly controversial because I am a conservative talk person, but this needs to happen. This needs to happen. We cannot deal with Mark Carney because we do not know what could be in store for the big election if he is put in. I'm going to leave it off there. And I hope you guys come back for tomorrow's video, in which I will hopefully have a better suited hat, but I kind of just sloppily put this hat on me today. And I'll talk more about her, and I've recently seen a Rebel News article talking about her. Now she is basically just like every other Liberal. I'm going to cover that. I'm going to look over it. I'm going to do my own little research here, do my own little talking and all that, and so on and so forth. I'm going to be trying to uplift Ruby Dhalla's platform in the terms of the Liberal election, because it is good opposition for Pierre Poilievre, and it is also good for Canadians in full if she beats Mark Carney. This needs to happen. I want you guys to spread this message out that Ruby Dhalla needs to win. I understand if you don't like her because she's a liberal. I understand that. But for now, we have to deal with the liberal prime ministry because that is what we have. We need to choose the lesser of the evils. I'm not necessarily saying she is evil, because if she goes forth with what she's saying, I don't have an issue with what she's saying. But in terms of being a liberal, choose the lesser of the evils. I am asking you to like this video, subscribe to this channel, but more so, share this message. Share it. We need Canadians to have this too big to rig. Because I already fear that it is. We need to try and stop that possibility. But, yeah. Alright, I've talked way too much. I'm gonna let y'all go, if you're even still watching, that is. And, yeah. I hope to see you tomorrow in the next video, where I will go over that news article. But until then, I hope that you have a good one.